It's one of those Upanishads. It's very ancient teaching story. Upanishad, is regarded as the ultimate sacred or spiritual text in our culture, but Upanishad only means sitting close by. So the teachings of the Upanishads were things that were taught when you were sitting close by. So this is from one of those stories. This is very ancient story. It's, I think, almost 4,000, 5,000 years old. So Brahma, today nobody cares for Brahma, poor fellow, but at one time he was very important in the culture. Today he has been displaced by aspects of the Mahadevi, whoever is the Devi. So it is Brahma, Vishnu and the Mahadevi, Shiva, Vishnu and the Mahadevi. But at one time Brahma was very important in the culture. There were lots of temples. At the moment there are about 14 temples also. Not the one in Pushkar as people think. There are about 14 temples. But basically he is being demoted. But at one time he was very important in the culture. So the stories, a lot of the stories are about how people on the spiritual path come to Brahma. So the gods, the devas, what we call the devas, the gods in our culture. Now the devas are very interesting because devas are basically positions or rewards you get for good karma. To be an Indra merely means a person with exceptional good karma. He gets promoted, he runs that, he takes that position, the heavenly position for thousands of years. When his karma is exhausted, he is demoted. So we are the only culture in the world, I have not seen a single culture like that, a single mythology like that, where to be a human being is more important than to be a god. Because only human beings are capable of liberation. Only human beings are capable of breaking out of the cycle of karma. Even the gods are not capable. Shiva and Vishnu are not really gods that way, because Deva literally means the shining one. Their karma and their awareness is so great that they begin to glow from inside. So Deva, Devi is the feminine. Deva literally means the shining one. You can also be a Deva or a Devi. If that is your desire, you can end up on a mountaintop being worshipped by people. After a few years of listening to people constantly ask you for money, you will get tired of it. Because that is what most prayers come down to, that, yes? Find a place. Most prayers come down to that. But they are what are called vital beings. A Deva is not a human being, it is not the transcendent aspect of God. It is a certain aspect of vibration that can help you. It can help you in material terms, it can help you in emotional terms, most of all in spiritual terms. That is what Deva means. But please remember, human life is the most precious. Much more than being a Deva. Now that is not only culture in the world. And we are the only culture in the world where you can curse the Deva, yes? You can actually put a curse on a god and it takes effect. Yeah, no other culture that is possible. Shakespeare had mentioned the classical point of view: as flies to wanton boys are we to the gods, they kill us for their sport. That was your relationship with the god if you were in the Greek or the Egyptian or any other culture. In India, if the god tries something with you, you can have a response, you can retaliate, yes? So again, in many ways, we are a very unique culture. This is the only culture I have seen where the human being can turn around on a god and tell him, I am not impressed with you. So the gods come to Brahma because they realize that while we are gods and while we are running heaven, we seem to have certain lack, certain limitations. What is our problem? They are sensing that there is more to this. Just being a Deva is not the core, or just being a shining one, or just getting to rule over the universe is not the core. We are lacking in some way. What is our problem? So they ask him, could you please teach? And he teaches in a syllable. He just says one syllable, Da. Now, the yogis were very difficult people. Their whole deal was my way or the highway. They would not teach in any way that was easy for the student. The first thing I was told when I was learning was, I will not work harder than you. You know, all the effort has to be from your side. It won't be from my side. So, so then Brahma asked them, so I've said that, do you understand what it means? So they ponder it. That's the yogic teaching style where you launch a little seed into the person's consciousness and they got to think about it. They got to engage with it. They got to build a relationship with it, and then the truth of that comes out. So, did you understand? And they say, yeah, we think we understand. It means Damana. Now, Damana means self-control or self-mastery. The problem with the gods is that since they are gods, since they are devas, they have no sense of limitation, or they have no sense of what is proper, what is fitting. Any level of pleasure is possible, any level of cruelty is possible, any level of power is possible. That sense of not having boundaries, that sense of not having this much and no further is what was preventing their further evolution. Now, of course, you are doing yoga, so you know one of the core things in yoga is yama and niyama. Yes? Yama and niyama. Pia has sometimes certainly mentioned them to you. No, not really. Okay. Yama and niyama are basically what are your values, what are your rules. By what values do you live your life, by what disciplines do you live your life. Damana is the next level. Damana is what do you give up, what do you restrain, what do you control, what do you keep under check, so the gods had to learn that even though you have come, your karma has brought you to heaven, has brought you to Swarga, you are ruling over the universe, you can grant blessings, you can grant boons, nevertheless the story is not over. You have to continue to evolve. So that was their great learning. Damana. The humans got to know, Manavas, human beings, we are Manavas, they got to know that Brahma is in the teaching mood at the moment, so they come to him. Like you taught the gods, are we like sort of inferior creatures? No, I teach you also. So what do we need to do? We are capable of liberation from the cycle of birth and death. We are capable of becoming gods. So what do we need to? What is our weakness? What is our problem? What is it that we need to fix? And he says the same word again, Da. Now these are what are called Bija mantras. Bija mantras are syllables. They are actually vibrations. They have no meanings per se. But a bija, if articulated correctly, if you say it correctly, you can feel it have a certain response in your physical body, in your mind, in your emotions, and in your prana. So even when you teach somebody a mantra, the literal word meaning or sentence meaning of the mantra is not important. What is important is how is it affecting the vibration at the physical level, at the mental level, at the emotional level, and at the pranamaya kosha level or the ki level. Those are all slightly more complex issues. We'll come to that in time with the grace of God if possible. But a bija, that's how it works. So when he says Da, the devas had one level of vibration. So for them the word Da meant restraint, self-mastery. The humans are at a different level of vibration, so they thought about it and they realized this means Dana. Now Dana is mistranslated as charity. It is not charity, it is generosity. To share, to give. One of the first things they teach you in any spiritual process is the universe always takes its price. Nothing comes for free. Anything that you get valuable, the universe will take its price. The Greeks were much more cynical. One of them, Sophocles, I think, said, "Nothing vast enters into your life without a curse." No, we don't need to be, but the universe does take a price. Nothing comes for free. So the spiritual tradition, all spiritual traditions, the rule was 10% of whatever you make, you immediately give as acknowledgement. Give to the Guru, give to charity, give to whatever nourishes you spiritually. Tithing, it's called tithing. 1/10 of whatever you make, you give to, you give as return to society, to the universe. It is a very, very psychologically and spiritually, it is an immensely powerful thing. And those who practice tithing, they find that life becomes much easier from in financial terms at least. The money keeps flowing somehow or the other. If you don't, you will find that there are unexpected expenditures, there are unexpected situations. It's just a very ancient spiritual principle. It's just a very, very ancient spiritual principle. It takes time to recognize that it's actually a very good thing. But dana does not mean only that you give the universe its fair price. Dana means if you have something of value, it is your business to share it. If you come to a new set of realizations, if you come to a new accomplishment, it is your responsibility to share it. It is your responsibility to communicate it. Yes, you can ask your fair price. Giving things free is ultimate catastrophe. That never works. In karmic terms, in psychological terms, it never works. Samurai saying, nothing in life is so expensive as something given or taken free of charge. Just don't do it. There must be some kind of reciprocity. There must be some. But the responsibility for dana, that when you have some kind of unique value, when you have some kind of unique skill and ability, it is your responsibility to share it with the world. That actually, Vidya Dana is regarded as the highest dana, the sharing of insight, the sharing of wisdom. Vidya doesn't mean knowledge, Vidya means insight, wisdom. So dana, human beings understood, Manavas understood that the da that applied to them was dana. Because what is the most unattractive human trait? Greediness, selfishness. Greediness is a vibration of selfishness only. Mine, me. I'll keep it, I'll hold on, I'll cling. Miser. The minute we say miser, we have a sense of contempt for that person, yes? Generous. What a lovely word. It sounds so nice because we are now in active anticipation of a benefit. Miser means I am not going to benefit, yes? So, just in simple terms, dana. So, what dana have I done? It's a very, very dangerous question to ask yourself because we realize we are also working usually from miserly mindsets rather than generous mindsets. So then, last of all, the asuras, the danavas, the daityas, the rakshasas, that crowd come. Why should we miss out? The humans have got, the gods have got. Why should we miss out? We are also part of creation. So by now, he told them also that. Now please understand, the asuras, the danavas, the dark side as we call, they are much more powerful than humans and gods. Whenever they go into tapasya, they always get much greater benefits than even the gods. Yes, all our stories are basically, that they can do much better. So how come they keep coming into these catastrophes? How come they keep coming into these messes? How come they keep losing? How come they keep getting defeated? And in this last bija mantra that Brahma gave them, they understood that they lack Daya, they lack compassion, they lack empathy. Daya is empathy, compassion. To be able to feel or to be able to understand how another person would feel. if we don't personally experience it, we don't seem to pay much heed or much value to a certain experience. It is one thing to fast, it is quite another thing to go hungry because you don't have food. So that sense of understanding, even when you don't have any personal experience of that deprivation or that trouble or that problem, that sense of empathy is a huge thing. Psychological maturity, spiritual growth, even becoming a successful person is not possible without that sense of empathy. And that was what was lacking in the Danavas or the Asuras, because they were only about power in a very aggressive, dominant sense. They were not about power in a creative sense. They just did not have Daya. They just did not have compassion. Now, Daya, it is very easy when it is your family. Daya, it is very easy when it is a kitten or a puppy, because those are basic triggers that we have. But to show Daya to the unpleasant, or to show Daya to the unfamiliar, or not to understand, empathy is a skill that cannot be overstressed. And it is a skill that is very difficult to develop, because it is easier and quicker to reject rather than to try and understand. And of course, the major part of empathy is listening, which is quite boring and many times irritating, because people just keep going on and on and on. But unless you grit your teeth and show the patience, you won't get to the point where you can help them. So these were the three kind of Damana, Dana, Daya. These were the three. So they say that when there is rumbling of thunder, that is actually that lesson of Brahma. The clouds are constantly rumbling, that's what they are saying. Da da da. Da da da, da da da. Be self-restrained. Be generous. Be compassionate. That is what the clouds are saying every time. That is the core teaching. In fact, many yogic schools say there is nothing beyond that. There is nothing beyond self-mastery. There is nothing beyond generosity. There is nothing beyond compassion. That's all you actually need. These are the things. This is what a human being, or this is what even a deva or a rakshasa actually needs. Dada, da. Yeah? Sarvam Shivam.